Hey y'all, welcome back for day 22. We're going to be doing lots of different things today, lots of plumbing things today. So hopefully you won't have as much whiplash as you did for day 21. So at this point, I went to Lowe's or Home Depot, I can't remember which one, got all the pieces to go ahead and put the plumbing together for the new sink that I'm installed. So I have lots of different fittings, and so I'm going to go slow on this to try and explain everything best I can. That first fitting I did, I just installed a coupling on the original piping, so I have something to attach the new pipe to. Right here, I'm actually shortening these water lines because I don't need them to be that long, and I don't need it to be a 90-degree elbow in this. So I'm cutting the water line, and I'm adding a new female swivel adapter to this. You can buy these in packs of like 10 at Lowe's or Home Depot. If you guys have watched me do water lines before, you know that this is just 1/2 inch PEX line, and then I do crimp these on. So there's a special water line crimping tool that you need along with the clips that go with it. I do have those linked on my Amazon storefront. It is cheaper to buy the tool there than it is to buy it at Lowe's or Home Depot. Okay, so next I'm just going to do a dry fit to make sure everything is lined up to where I want it to be. The main reason I had to redo all of this is because I needed to lower it. It was too high, like 1.5 inches too high. Of course, it's usually something simple like that. So I basically needed to shorten one of the connections that goes up, and it was just easier to make all new fittings for this. So I'm just kind of putting this in the coupling that I have already installed right there. There's a T fitting right there, and then the T is going to go out. And then all of my other fittings, I'm going to explain here more clearly once I actually start putting them together. Okay, so the main thing I want to do, I have the sink in now so I can make sure that everything lines up to where it's supposed to be. This right here is a P-trap, and all of these fittings right here are going to be 1.5 inches. So as you see right here, I have a P-trap, a couple couplings, and then 1.5 inches PVC that I'm kind of going to put together right here. I also have a 1/2 inch male adapter with a washer and a P-nut. And that piece, the male adapter with the washer and the P-nut on it, that is going to go directly into the drain for the sink. So right now I'm just putting all of this together. You can actually buy the primer and the cement, the glue in comes in like a pack at Lowe's or Home Depot. I do use the primer, so you basically put the primer on both ends, and then you wait for it to dry a couple seconds. Then you put the cement on both ends, and then you kind of squish it together and wait a few seconds for it to dry. Okay, so a couple other pieces I have right here. I have that P-trap with a union and a plastic nut on it. I think I also have a female adapter, and then I think I have a T there. And then it also looks like I have a 90-degree elbow fitting right there. And all the other pieces are just kind of small connector pieces of just 1.5 inches pipe that I have cut to join the two pieces together. So I want this to be as tight as possible, because remember, the whole reason I redid this is because I needed it lowered 1.5 inches. So that's why I'm kind of making all these pieces go really tight together. So same process, gluing them together, and now you can see how it all pretty much comes together except for that one area in the back, and that is where I'm going to put a vent for the sink. All right, so to make this vent, I pretty much just have a piece of 1.5 inch PVC, and then I have a female adapter, and then I have the vent that actually screws into that female adapter. Now, if you notice it's black, that's because I reused the vent that was on the original plumbing because it was still in good condition. So, and it's like $11 for a new little piece, that black piece. So I just went ahead and reused it. So after I have put it all together just like that, I can go ahead and prime that side, prime the inside of the T that I have under the sink, and put some glue on it and smush those together. And then that is pretty much the plumbing for the sink. Now, I do want to mention all of this is Schedule 40, and I have run into instances where it was not Schedule 40. So if your plumbing fittings don't fit, it's probably a different schedule, and you're going to have to buy a different schedule of those. Okay, so next, I kind of skipped a part right there. I got zip ties and secured the plumbing to the wall itself, which is how it was secured before. I just don't want it bouncing around everywhere. And then I get some silicone, and I put it around where the edge of the sink is. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my sink in. That is just going to make a watertight seal. That way, if you spill water on it, it doesn't immediately drain underneath the sink. So after that, I can go ahead and hook up this plumbing. And that is pretty much all there is to that. I know it probably seems difficult, but I promise you it's not. And I'm going to see if Amazon has all of those fittings. So I'm going to try to make like a plumbing category on my Amazon storefront so you guys can see for yourself what fittings those are. And I'm also going to mention the fact that I made a very dumb mistake and didn't put a cardboard box down the first time I started priming those fittings and spilled primer on the floor. And I panicked. So there's that. And a side note that I hope you'll never need, brake cleaner does get primer out of vinyl flooring. Okay, moving on. I'm just cleaning up right here because I'm going to go ahead and put the mattress in. Yay! So this is a Zenus, I don't know how you spell it. Anyway, I've always bought these mattresses for campers. This is a queen short. They're pretty much the only brand I've found that sell a queen short for a reasonable price. I do have this on my Amazon too if you wanted to check it out. They make a lot of different sizes for this, but this is just the one that I went for. It's it's a good price. I think it's like a couple $100 for this mattress. And it's actually fairly comfortable. I've put this in pretty much all of the campers that I've done. And I haven't had people complain and say that it's the worst mattress they've ever slept on. So that's why I've kept buying it. It's because they're like, this is surprisingly comfortable. Okay. It's not the one that I have in my camper, but, it's not terrible, but I guess it all depends on if you like a mattress. So I do leave the plastic on this just because I'm not quite done and I don't want to get it all dusty. Okay, so now we can move on to the bathroom plumbing. Again, these water lines are way too long, so I'm going to go ahead and trim these. Again, just 1/2 inch pecs, and then I got those female swivel adapters with a clip on it and use my special tool right here to clip the clamp on. And nothing crazy to it. Same thing. And I do have a video on how to do water lines if you're interested in that. I know this is the greatest shot inside this cabinet right here, but if you're going to redo water lines, definitely go watch that video because it's super helpful and it gives you kind of a more close-up look at what materials you need and how it works. And we're going to go ahead and get these adapters on. This is a 3/8 compression to 1/2 inch adapter that goes on the faucet. Teflon tape on the 3/8 compression side, screw it in, and then get 2 adjustable wrenches and tighten that up. And then the 1/2 inch side can screw into that female swivel adapter that I just installed. So you definitely do need these unless your faucet lines have 1/2 inch adapters already, which I highly doubt it if it's like not an actual RV or technically a mobile home faucet. You're going to have to use these adapters. And you can buy these off Amazon. I do suggest that. They're a lot cheaper than buying them individually at the store. So I also don't know why it took me so long to clean this fridge out, to be honest with you. It's like one of those things that's been on my list. It's not anything yucky. There's just a lot of mold in here from it being wet and having condensation. So there's just a bunch of ice packs in here. It's nothing yucky. But I am wearing my mask because I actually got sick from molds a while back and I'm just not taking any more chances now. So just spraying it down with some bleach solution right here, and I'm just going to let it sit for a little bit, and then come back and start cleaning it up and wiping it up and trying to make it look nice again. I did take all of the trays and all of that stuff out. I'm going to wash that inside in my house sink where I can get a nice good scrub on it and make sure that there's no like mold or anything yucky left in it. And I feel like this is the part of RV renovation nobody talks about is how much cleaning you actually have to do because things can get really nasty if they sit there for a long time. And so there's just a lot of cleaning involved. Okay, it's finally time to put the stove back in. It's crazy when everything starts to like come back together like this. And it happens really fast and it just makes you be like, oh, I've come so far. This is so great and exciting. So I absolutely love this stove and the way that this kitchen is designed. This is, I've actually never seen one like this before, and it was super cool because it's not like an actual oven. It's like a stove and a microwave combo, but the microwave is also an oven, which is super cool. So right now I am just hooking the gas fitting back up. I've just got 2 adjustables and just tightening those fittings down. And then after that, I'm going to bleed these propane lines. This is pretty much the only source of propane in this camper other than the water heater, and I didn't unhook that fitting. So to bleed these lines, I pretty much just hold the light button down with a flame on it and wait for it to light. And I mean, that's really the best way to bleed a line because there's going to be a lot of air in there because it's been unhooked for so long. So definitely want to bleed that because if not, you're going to end up doing the same thing later when you're trying to cook and it's just not worth it. And, your other things may not light like the fridge or anything else like that if there's too much air in the line. So now that I had it lit, I'm just going to let it run for a little bit and then shut it off. I'm going to come check this fitting. I always check fittings if I take them off. This is just soapy water that I spray on the connection right here. And if it bubbles up, then I know there's a propane leak. If it doesn't bubble up, then I know there's not a leak. So definitely double check any fitting or any propane line that you disconnect. So now I know that the propane line is good. I'm going to go ahead and hook this electrical back up. I think this is just 2 wires right here, the positive and the negative for this. It's like a little LED display that's on the stovetop right there that also, I think it hooks to the microwave. But I'm just redoing these lines right here because they had them on with wire nuts and I don't really like wire nuts. So I'm going to use crimp connectors for this with my little crimping tool. And it's just a little more secure than the wire nuts, but totally personal preference. If you want to put wire nuts on it, put the wire nuts back on. Just don't reuse the same wire nuts that's already there because you're not really supposed to do that. So now that those are done, I'm just going to tuck them in the back and then pull these little straps out. Those straps actually hold the microwave part right here in, and this is kind of a tight fit, so just bear with me as I kind of wiggle this in. There's a little platform and some feet that this sit on, so I'm just trying to wiggle it in place, and then I'm going to put that strap on. It just kind of goes up to the top, and there's enough room up there to where I can reach my hands in and tighten the strap, and then it's secured. And then after that, there's one connector that goes from the microwave to the stove. Just kind of connect those wires back together. They're not actual wires. It's like a plug. It's like a connector plug. So put that in, and then I was testing it out to see if it works, and it does. So yay. There's also a little trim ring that goes on it like that to cover up that gap, and I think 4 or 6 screws that go in. I didn't put the screws in right now though because I have to paint some black and I only have white screws. So I'll paint the black and then go ahead and secure that face on the microwave. Now this has been a long time coming. I'm finally putting the face of the fridge back in. And if you remember, I kind of just slid those panels out and painted them. And then now just slid them back in. And there's like trim pieces on the top and the bottom. And the little trim pieces just snap back in. Super easy to do that. And so you see the freezer part is already in. Now I'm going to go ahead and slide the fridge part in. And that one was a little more of a tight fit, but it still worked perfectly fine. Ended up just bending it like that and sliding it in. Way easier than having to worry about, like, am I going to get paint on the trim of this fridge? It's just easier to take the panels out. Just take them out. It's so much better. Now, I don't think I showed me painting the door, but I'm sure everybody knows how to paint a door. You just paint it. I didn't spray this because I didn't want to get my sprayer dirty again, and it uses a lot of paint if you're only doing one thing. So I just hand painted this door, and now I'm putting the hinges back on. I did paint these hinges, and that's because it's really hard to find these hinges, and I like to line them up in the holes that I took them out in because it's easier not to have to realign a door that way. So I just used a primer on the hinges first. Sometimes I sandblast them. If I'm close to my parents' house, I'll sandblast them and then I'll prime them and then I'll paint them. Because my dad has a sandblaster and I don't. Okay, and another side note, I reuse the same screws too. So when you're I think I said this when I took them off, make sure to save that because those screws sit nice and flush on the hinge. And if you use different screws that don't sit flush on it, the door won't shut right. And then same thing with the door handle. You can buy a different door handle if you want to. I don't. I do the same thing. Prime it and then paint it, and I really haven't had any problems with it scratching or anything like that, as long as it has time to properly cure the primer before you put the paint on. All right, so next I'm going to go ahead and put the trim up in the shower. I've already pre-cut these pieces. This is just PVC trim, the same thing I use for the floors and everything else. And it just gives this shower just a nice finished look. And I did use, I've got special PVC trim cutters. It's like a little handheld thing that I use, so I don't have to keep walking back and forth and cutting, and anyway, it just makes life a lot easier. So definitely would suggest getting that little hand. You see it right there. I've got it right there, that little trimmer. One of the best things that I've bought when doing trim. Obviously you can't use it for like wood trim, but for this PVC stuff, it works fantastic. Okay, let's go ahead and tackle the plumbing for the bathroom here. I'm using a handsaw to try and saw off the plumbing here, but it's just too tight and I couldn't do it. So I ended up using my multi-tool, and I kind of just went really slow with it so I didn't melt the plastic that was there. I just want to cut it, don't want to melt it. Because again, it leaves a jagged edge, and then you kind of have to sand the jagged edge off, and it's just a whole thing. You end up creating more work for yourself, even though it's shorter to cut it off. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. And I realize this is hard to see in here, but right there I'm just priming it, and then I am putting one of those trap adapters with the washer and the peanut, and I believe that this is a 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch, and I think I did that because typically the bathroom plumbing is 1/4 inch, not 1/2 inch. I mean 1 1/4 inch, I'm sorry, not 1.5 inches. So I'm almost positive that's what that is, because the drain is 1 1/4 inch. So I have to make my P-trap right there, also 1 1/4 inch to be able to line up and fit into the drain. Now, the drain that this sink came with would not work, and it's because of, they have this like weird plumbing that they had with it, and it was too long, and they make it so you can't really trim it, and so I just got a new drain for this. You can buy new drains in the same aisle that all the bathroom stuff is in. And as you see right here, I can't remember if I ended up taking this off, but this is plumber's putty I put around it. You tighten the nut below, and then that's what it looks like when it's squeezed out nicely. And then it just kind of like picks it up and peels it up like that. But I almost want to say when I went to check for leaks that it leaked, and so I think I ended up using it's like a rubber washer that came with it. I think I ended up switching that out and using that too. So right now I'm just hooking up an extension tube right here to my P-trap, and then I just tighten everything up. This one is super simple and very, very easily findable things at Lowe's and Home Depot. So after that's done, I'm going to go ahead and move on to reinstalling the toilet. And I never screwed this flange into the floor, so I'm going to go ahead and start with that. I think I reused the same bolts that were there because I don't think they were rusted very bad. But do put a new gasket on the toilet. I do have that linked on my Amazon storefront as well. Different toilet brands require different gaskets, and I did get the one that comes with the little wing nuts that go into the flange and up into the toilet. So I do replace those just because they get really rusty and gross sometimes, and it's not much more expensive to buy the kit, the toilet seal and the flange kit, or the bolt kit, versus just buying the toilet seal itself. And then after it's on, I just put the nuts on and just tighten the nuts from the top, and then hook up the water line on the back. And after all of my water lines are hooked up, I'm ready to pressure test it. I do this because I don't want water everywhere, and so I test it with air first before I put water in it, because I don't like cleaning up messes. So this is just, it's a special fitting hooked up to my air compressor at 15 psi, and now I'm just going and listening for leaks and shining my flashlight under, looking at all of the connections for the water. You'll be able to hear like a hiss or anything like that if there is a water leak, and you know that you need to either go retighten that fitting or replace. There's a little O-ring inside the fitting. Sometimes it's just as simple as that O-ring needs to be replaced. Anyway, just finishing up some little painting right here. This is it covers up the plumbing lines and all of that stuff for the shower. And this part was really funny because my husband was helping me clean the outside of the camper, and then he caught me filming him, and now he's saying I'm ridiculous. So if you're wondering what it's like to be married to me, yep, it's ridiculous. I'm going to be honest with you. I am a very weird person. Okay, so one of the final things for the cabinets is to install the roller latch. And this pretty much keeps the doors from flopping around while you're going down the road. It keeps them closed. I've used different types of latches before. I've tried the magnetic ones. They don't really stay that well. So I like it's like a mechanical roller latch. And it's basically a little roller that goes on the inside of the cabinet and a little latch that sticks into the two middle rollers. Works really good. I put these on all of the campers. I don't save the old ones because sometimes they're yucky, and it's like not super expensive for a whole new pack of like 50 of these things. And lastly for this video, I'm going to go ahead and attach this. It's like a type of hardware that holds this cabinet up. And these are the original ones that I use because they're just still good. So I reuse these. It just holds the door up instead of like flopping in your face when you kind of close it. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed that. I'll see you back for day 23.